Imagine standing on an ordinary street in America, cars passing by, people walking their dogs, a normal day by all standards. But what if I told you that beneath your feet, sometimes thousands of feet below, exist entire cities, underground complexes that could house thousands of people, equipped with hospitals, power plants, food supplies to last for years. Cities hidden from the public, designed to survive anything from nuclear war to natural disasters. Some are known, some are classified, and some might not exist at all. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris. Thank you so much for subscribing. You know, I've been wanting to do this story for a long time. I've been fascinated about America's underground cities since childhood. The idea that there would be massive, huge, I'm talking like New York City level cities underground somewhere that we don't even know about. But even growing up in the state of Pennsylvania, hearing the stories about Centralia, which was a city that's burning from underneath because the coal vein that ran through, a fire broke out and it's impossible to ever put it out. This city will just collapse in utter ruin. People that had homes there in the 1950s and 60s just finding out that they can't live there anymore because the entire city is on fire, but not from above, underneath. So I've loved and been fascinated by America's hidden underground cities since childhood. And the truth is, America has been digging for decades, creating a subterranean world that most citizens will never see. From proven government bunkers to controversial deep underground military bases, we're going deeper than ever before. Stay with me for the next 30 minutes. What you learn by the end might change how you see the ground beneath your feet. Welcome to the Redacted Files, where we explore the stories hidden between fact and fiction. And today, we're going underground. America's fascination with subterranean construction began in earnest during the Cold War. As nuclear tensions escalated with the Soviet Union, the United States government realized that survival might depend on going deep, very deep. What started as simple fallout shelters evolved into sophisticated underground complexes designed to ensure government continuity even after a devastating attack. But as declassified documents reveal more about these underground facilities, they raise as many questions as they answer. How many exist? What's their true purpose? And are there connections between them that we're not being told about? So let's dig into the evidence. Let's start with what we know for certain. America has several massive underground facilities that have been acknowledged by the government. Perhaps the most famous is the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, which is buried inside Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado. Constructed in the 1960s, this underground complex was designed to withstand a direct nuclear strike, and it's built in the middle of the country on purpose. The facility consists of 15 three-story buildings mounted on springs that would absorb the shock of a nuclear blast. These buildings sit inside a massive cavern carved from solid granite. During the height of the Cold War, over 1,800 personnel worked inside the mountain on a daily basis. Can you imagine? Inside of a mountain, 1,800 people? Monitoring for potential Soviet attacks. That's what they did all day long. While NORAD's operations have partially relocated to Peterson Air Force Base, the Cheyenne Mountain complex remains operational as an alternative command center, ready to activate in moments of crisis. Less than 30 miles from Washington, D.C. sits another underground marvel, the Raven Rock Mountain Complex, sometimes called Site R, or the Underground Pentagon. Built inside a mountain near the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, this 650,000 square foot facility serves as an emergency operations center for the Department of Defense. Now, construction began in earnest back in 1951, and like the NORAD complex, it was designed to withstand a nuclear apocalypse. So only the elites would survive. You and I would be vaporized. Now, inside Raven Rock are all the necessities for running military operations: communication centers, conference rooms, and a self-contained power system. The facility can support about 1,400 people for an extended period of time, allowing military leadership to maintain command and control even if Washington, D.C. is totally destroyed. Though many details remain classified, we know that Raven Rock continues to be maintained and upgraded as part of America's continuity of government plans in the case that the President of the United States and His entire cabinet is wiped away. Who would run things? It would be the military. Perhaps even more critical to government survival is Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center in Virginia. This underground complex would serve as the evacuation site for the highest level of civilian and military officials in case of a national disaster. It would house the president, house the Supreme Court, and other key leadership. Mount Weather is operated by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and features underground offices, has full dormitories, a full hospital. And above ground, the 434-acre facility includes training areas, a fire station, and even an entire police force. What's particularly interesting about Mount Weather is how it's designed to function as a genuine underground city. It has reservoirs for fresh water, power plant with multiple backup generators, advanced air filtration systems. There are even dormitories that could house hundreds of officials. And during the 9/11 attacks, guess what? Many congressional leaders were evacuated to Mount Weather, demonstrating its continued importance in emergency planning. One lesser-known facility is the Greenbrier bunker in West Virginia, a place that I know well. I spent a lot of time in West Virginia as a young reporter in Bluefield, West Virginia. For decades, this massive bunker lay hidden beneath the luxurious Greenbrier resort, unknown to the public, until it was exposed by the Washington Post in 1992. It was built during the Eisenhower administration, and its 112,000 square foot facility was intended to house all 535 members of Congress in the event of a nuclear war. Perhaps most fascinating was its cover. The facility was hidden right in plain sight, and that's my point. How many of these exist that are sitting in plain sight? It was designed and disguised as an exhibition hall and maintenance area for the resort. Government staff posed as TV repairmen, regularly maintaining the bunker's equipment while pretending to be servicing the hotel's televisions. After its exposure, the bunker was decommissioned and is now open for tours, one of the few such facilities accessible to the public. These known facilities represent just the tip of the iceberg. We all know about these. Declassified documents suggest dozens of similar installations were constructed across the United States, many of which remain operational and classified. What's particularly noteworthy is how these aren't merely bunkers. They're fully functioning underground cities designed for long-term occupation and governance. The question is, how many more exist that we have no idea about? If underground cities exist, then logically, there must be ways to reach them quickly, especially in emergencies. This brings us to one of the most persistent claims about America's underground infrastructure, the secret subway systems that are connecting important government facilities all across the United States, never having to jump on the interstate highway system and sit in traffic. We know for certain that Washington, D.C. has an official underground transportation system that's used by government officials. The Senate subway system connects the Capitol building with the Senate office buildings, allowing lawmakers to move quickly between locations without going above ground, dealing with us reporters asking tough questions. This system has been in existence since 1909 and has been gradually expanded and modernized. What's more intriguing is the rumored deeper system, sometimes called the tunnel, that allegedly connects the White House, the Capitol, and various government agencies with escape routes leading out of the city. While officials have never fully confirmed these tunnels' existence, former government employees have occasionally referenced them. For instance, during the Cold War, plans were certainly drafted for emergency evacuation routes. It's reasonable to assume some were constructed. One partially confirmed underground transport system is the one beneath the U.S. Capitol building complex. Now, beyond the known subway system, security protocols include underground evacuation routes, and after the 9/11 attacks, additional security measures were implemented, including improved underground connections between these buildings. Now, these tunnels serve both practical daily functions and emergency escape purposes. More controversial, however, are the claims about a vast underground maglev train network that connects various deep underground military bases across the country. Yes, a magnetic levitating train that moves at supersonic speeds, just like the ones in China that are above ground that get all the press and fanfare that can travel nearly as fast as a Boeing 757. According to these theories, The United States government has developed high-speed underground trains capable of traveling hundreds of miles per hour through vacuum tunnels. These would theoretically allow for rapid deployment of personnel between facilities spread across the continent. Now, while no evidence proves the existence of such a network, there are some interesting facts to consider. The U.S. government has funded research into these transportation advanced technologies, including maglev systems. Patents exist for various underground high-speed transportation concepts. Additionally, tunnel boring technology has advanced significantly in recent decades, but even look at these old photos. The tunnel boring Air Force machines. Why does the United States Air Force need tunnel boring machines? Air Force? Tunnels? Makes no sense, does it? Well, making the construction of such networks would be far more feasible than ever before by using these types of more advanced equipment. I mean, these photos are decades old. Now, some former military personnel have actually come forward and actually claimed knowledge of these systems. Their accounts, though, of course, remain unverifiable unless I'm able to climb down there myself and see it. Philip Schneider, who claimed to be a former geological engineer engaged in constructing underground bases across the United States, became notorious for his lectures describing an extensive network of underground facilities connected by maglev trains. Now, before his controversial death in 1996, was ruled a suicide, though some dispute this. How many times have we heard that story? Schneider alleged that this subway network could transport people between facilities at speeds up to 1,500 miles an hour. While Schneider's more extreme claims lack corroboration, the concept of connecting underground facilities makes logical sense, right? During a national emergency, rapid and secure transportation between command centers would be crucial. The question isn't whether underground transportation networks exist, we know they do, but rather their extent and their sophistication. How large are they? Interestingly, some of these underground transportation concepts may be moving into the public sphere. Elon Musk's Boring Company aims to create networks of underground tunnels for high-speed transportation. While presented as a private venture, some speculate that it could be building on existing government research or technology. Whether there's any connection remains speculative, but the technological overlap is worth noting, and it's worth also pointing out that Elon Musk is America's basically biggest defense contractor. Take SpaceX, for crying out loud. Look at Starlink, the Boring Company. Makes a lot of sense. Another documented underground transportation system exists beneath Denver International Airport, though its purpose has generated considerable controversy. I had the opportunity to meet a whistleblower who worked at Antarctica's South Pole Station, and he said, "Clayton, are you ever curious about what sits beneath Denver's International Airport? It's a vast, vast underground city." I said, "You got to be kidding me. I live not too far from the airport." He said, "Oh yeah, it's very convenient cover to have trucks going in and out. Oh, they're just there for the airport," when in fact, they're there to support this massive underground city. The airport's automated baggage system runs through a complex network of underground tunnels. What makes this interesting is that the airport was built with an unusually large amount of underground space, much more than seemed necessary for its stated purposes at the time. Why were they doing so much digging? What did they need down there? This combined with strange murals and other unusual features at the airport, in fact, satanic symbols, it's fueled a lot of theories about its possible connection to a larger underground network. Now we venture into more controversial territory. Deep underground military bases, often abbreviated as D.U.M.s, D.U.M.B.s. These are massive military installations buried hundreds, sometimes thousands of feet below the surface. And unlike the acknowledged facilities we discussed earlier, the full extent of the D.U.M.B. network remains largely classified if it exists as described. What we do know is that the U.S. military has constructed numerous underground facilities. A 1992 Pentagon report acknowledged the existence of at least 32 deep underground facilities in the United States, with others overseas. The report noted that these facilities were built to withstand nuclear attacks and house sensitive operations. However, it provided few specifics about their locations or their functions. Dulce Base in New Mexico is perhaps the most notorious alleged D.U.M.B. site. According to theories, It's a multi-level underground facility that's jointly operated by humans and extraterrestrials. These claims originated largely with Paul Bennewitz, a businessman, UFO researcher, famous man, Paul Bennewitz. He claimed to have intercepted electronic communications from the base in the late 1970s. The theories were further developed by Phil Schneider, who claimed to have helped construct a portion of the facility himself. While there's no definitive evidence that Dulce Base exists as described, the area does have some interesting characteristics. It's relatively close to Los Alamos National Laboratory, which plays a key role in nuclear research. The region also has experienced numerous cattle mutilations, UFO sightings over the decades. The Native Americans who live nearby the base regularly see weird craft exiting the mountain. However, these could be just coincidental or have conventional explanations, like these are all U.S. military craft that travel in unbelievable ways using anti-gravitational capabilities that you and I don't even know about, but the U.S. military does. Maybe it's that. Area 51 in Nevada, while famous for different reasons, of course, also reportedly contains extensive underground facilities. Former employees have described elevators leading to multiple subterranean levels. Given the sensitive nature of the aircraft that's tested there at Area 51, underground hangars and workshops would make strategic sense, allowing aircraft to be developed away from satellite observation or spy planes flying over to see that you're building an SR-71 Blackbird. What lends some credibility to the concept of D.U.M.s is the acknowledged existence of the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant, WIPP, near Carlsbad, New Mexico. This Department of Energy facility is buried 2,150 feet underground in a salt formation, serves as a repository for radioactive waste. Now, the facility demonstrates the government's capability to construct and maintain large, deep underground installations. Another factor supporting the possibility of extensive underground facilities is the government's continuity of operations, COOP planning. Now, these plans ensure that the government can continue functioning during emergencies. Documents released through the Freedom of Information Act requests confirm that extensive underground facilities form a key part of these continuity plans. However, many details, of course, remain classified for national security reasons. In 1989, Washington Post article titled Doomsday Project described a shadow government that would operate from secure bunkers during a national emergency. The article mentioned a network of approximately 100 underground facilities across the country designed to house different government agencies. The extent of this network has never been fully disclosed, of course. The technology required to build D.U.M.s certainly exists. The U.S. military and private contractors have developed advanced tunnel boring machines, TBMs, that are capable of cutting through solid rock at impressive rates. These machines can create tunnels up to 40 feet in diameter, like the ones I showed you before from the United States Air Force. What's particularly interesting is that some patents for these machines include methods for melting rock, forming it into tunnel walls, leaving no excavated material to be removed at all, potentially allowing for more secretive construction. What are you going to do with all of this granite that you're pulling out of the ground? Oh, you're not going to use it in countertops, in luxury homes? No, you're just going to melt it down and form the walls like glass. One compelling argument for the existence of D.U.M.s comes from the black budget allocations. The U.S. government acknowledges spending billions on classified projects each year. In 1997, the Department of Defense admitted to having a $59 billion black budget for classified programs. More recent estimates suggest this figure has grown substantially. That was how many years ago? Could some of this money be funding the construction and maintenance of underground facilities? Oh yeah, it's certainly possible. Former government officials have occasionally made statements suggesting extensive underground facilities exist. In a 1995 interview, Richard Sauter claimed that there are 131 deep underground military bases in the United States. They've been building these 131 bases day and night, unceasingly, since the early 1940s. The strategic value of underground facilities is undeniable. They offer protection from surveillance, from airstrikes, nuclear attacks, even public oversight. From a military perspective, having such facilities makes perfect sense. The question is how extensive they really are. Beyond military installations, America has another category of underground developments: civilian underground infrastructure and repurposed spaces that form hidden cities beneath our urban centers. New York City's underground exemplifies this perfectly. Beneath the bustling streets lies a complex world of subway tunnels, maintenance passages, abandoned stations. The infamous Freedom Tunnel was named that after a graffiti artist housed an underground homeless community for years before being cleared out in the 1990s. The tunnel, running beneath Riverside Park on Manhattan's Upper West Side, became a legendary example of how underground spaces can be reclaimed by those seeking to live off the grid. Even more fascinating is the network of tunnels beneath New York City's Grand Central Terminal. These include the secretive Track 61, which connected directly to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and was reportedly used by Franklin Delano Roosevelt to hide his polio from the public when traveling to the city. This private railway track included an elevator large enough for Roosevelt's presidential car, allowing him to be transported directly from the train to the hotel without being seen publicly. Incredible. Similar underground networks exist in Chicago, where freight tunnels, constructed in the early 20th century, created a 60-mile underground transportation system. Though officially abandoned, urban explorers report that sections remain accessible and have been repurposed for various unofficial uses over the decades. In Seattle, the underground city there presents a unique case. After the Great Seattle Fire in 1889, the city was rebuilt one level higher to address flooding problems, leaving the original street level to become a network of underground passages. Today, parts of this underground city have been restored and offer tours. Other sections, though, remain largely forgotten and closed to the public. Portland, Oregon, features the infamous Shanghai tunnels, the underground passages allegedly used to kidnap men for forced labor on ships in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The same thing in Savannah, Georgia, the hidden underground areas and layers used by pirates to ferry people off out into the waters. In Portland, though, historians are still debating the extent of Shanghaiing that occurred there. The tunnels themselves exist and connected the basements of numerous businesses to the waterfront. Cold War preparations also created numerous civilian underground shelters. Many government buildings, schools, and hospitals were equipped with fallout shelters designed to protect the population during a nuclear attack. While most have been repurposed or abandoned, some remain intact, forgotten relics of an era that was defined by the constant threat of nuclear annihilation. Maybe more relevant now than even back then. More recently, wealthy preppers and survivalists have created their own underground dwellings. The Survival Condo Project in Kansas converted a decommissioned Atlas missile silo into luxury underground condominiums, with prices starting at $1.5 million. These units offer protection from nuclear attacks, pandemics, other catastrophes. The facility includes amenities like a pool, movie theater, 5-year food supply, essentially creating a self-contained underground city for the wealthy. Underground spaces have also been repurposed for data storage. The SpringNet Underground in Springfield, Missouri uses former limestone mines to house servers that are held in a naturally climate-controlled, secure environment. Similar facilities exist across the country, taking advantage of the natural protection offered by subsurface locations. Now, what makes these civilian underground developments interesting is how they blur the line between acknowledged infrastructure and hidden spaces. Many began as official projects, but were later, abandoned or repurposed. Others operate sort of in a gray area, neither fully public nor completely secret. Together, they form a subterranean layer of American cities that most citizens never see, despite living directly above them, walking right on top of them. Some researchers suggest connections between these civilian tunnels and government underground systems, particularly in major cities like Washington, D.C. and New York. While such connections would make strategic sense for emergency evacuation purposes, definitive evidence remains elusive. However, recently, Catherine Austin Fitts, who's a former government official, speaking on the record to Tucker Carlson during an interview, dropped a bombshell about all of the trillions of dollars in government spending. Where did all of this money go? She claims that it was used to build a vast network of massive underground cities across the United States.
One of the things I've looked at is the underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built.
What is certain, though, is that America's underground spaces represent a parallel world, one that exists literally beneath our feet, but remains largely invisible to daily life. Whether repurposed for commerce, shelter, or more clandestine purposes, these spaces remind us that the ground we walk on has depth and history that often goes unnoticed. As we return to the surface, the question remains, just how extensive is America's underground world? We know with certainty that massive government facilities exist beneath mountains and fields across the country. We've confirmed underground transportation networks, from simple subway systems to more elaborate tunnel complexes. The existence of deep military installations seems probable, though their full extent and purposes remain shrouded in secrecy. What is clear is that for decades, America has been digging, creating an underground infrastructure designed to ensure survival, maintain security, and perhaps serve other purposes we can only speculate about. The next time you walk down an ordinary street, remember what might lie thousands of feet below, an entire world of tunnels, bunkers, and underground cities. Some acknowledged, some classified, some perhaps merely rumored. Are these facilities simply prudent national security measures? Or do they suggest preparation for catastrophes the public hasn't been told about just yet? The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the documentation, the testimonies, and perhaps in the earth itself. If you found this journey underground fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Redacted Files for more explorations of the hidden world around us. Until next time, keep questioning, guys, because the truth is out there, sometimes buried deep beneath the surface.